Seeing none, I'll close public comment on agenda items, and now we're up to approval of minutes. Can I have a motion? John, second. Robin? So can we have a roll call?
Mr. Byrne?
I missed the January meeting, I was missed the December.
Well, that's a yes for December.
Yes, for December.
Just abstaining for January 9th.
Abstain or say no?
Abstain.
Well, I wasn't there.
Right.
So you say abstain.
Mrs. Werner?
Yes.
Mrs. Gray?
Yes.
Mrs. Dunn?
Abstain.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mrs. Richmond?
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw?
Abstain for both.
Mrs. Wooldridge?
Yes.
Mrs. McCune?
Yes.
Madam President?
Okay, we're up to committee reports. We have 11 finance items. Can I have a motion? John, second. Karen? Greg? Okay. Should I just wait? Okay. Okay, so items 1 through 3 are our regular monthly items. Item 4 is professional development. Item 5 is the corrective action plan for the FY 2015 audit. Item 6 is disposal of equipment and books. Item 7 is a donation from Liberty Corner School PTO in the amount of $10,548.89 for 30 Dell Chromebooks, including a Google Chrome OS Management Console license and 1 Dell mobile computing card. Item number 8 is approval for spring overnight trips for the Ridge High School forensics team. And items 9 through 11 are nursing services for some students. Do you have any questions? Yeah,
I
Beth?
have a question.
Okay.
You're going to have to remind me, because I know we approve this every year. We have such an incredible forensics program. Is this all self-funded, all of this travel? That's absolutely incredible. Amazing.
Are there any other questions? No? Okay. We have a roll call.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
I read the request for the field trips for that one. It was actually answered all the questions before I even would ask them. I was appreciative of that.
Mr. Eastram's good work.
Yeah,
I know.
it's very thorough.
I did appreciate it.
Okay, roll call.
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
And I think
Mrs. Werner?
Yes.
Mrs. Gray?
Yes.
Mrs. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mrs. Richmond?
yes.
Mrs. Shaw?
Yes.
Mrs. Wooldridge?
Yes.
Mrs. McCune?
Yes.
Madam President?
All right, we're up through personnel.
If I can interject, I just want to, being a former member of the Liberty Corner School PTO, I would like to acknowledge and thank them for their incredibly generous donation.
Okay, so now we're up to personnel. We have 21 items, including 2 on the addendum. So can I have a motion? Robin? Second? Bev? Okay. Robin, did you want to?
I think most of them are fairly standard items. Does anyone have any questions on any of them?
Item 9 rescinding of extracurricular appointments. I don't recall seeing anything like that.
What number are you?
Number 9.
Number 9, I'm sorry.
No, something, yeah.
So anytime we rescind, it's usually because the staff member isn't able to fulfill the obligation. Could be for any reason, could be they're on leave, it could be because they decided not to do it. So we have to formally acknowledge that we're rescinding the offer so that we can then post the position or award it to somebody else.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Okay, can we have a roll call?
Mr. Byrne?
Yes?
Mrs. Swerner?
Yes.
Mrs. Gray?
Yes?
Mrs. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mrs. Bridgman?
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw?
Yes.
Mrs. Wooldridge?
Yes.
Mrs. McHugh?
Yes.
Madam President?
Okay, we're up to policy. John, did you have anything you wanted to note on policy?
We did not meet since the last meeting, and we had first reading on everything in that last meeting, so it wasn't anything covered this.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. So it'll be covered at the February policy meeting?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, now we're up to curriculum.
So we have 2 items to move on curriculum, and I just want to say that I have not yet compiled the minutes from Friday's meeting, so those will be reported out on next time. But the 2 items are just course title changes. Introduction to computer graphics is now Introduction to Photoshop in the Ridge High School Program of Studies, and marketing and distribution has become the principles of marketing.
So we probably need a motion.
Mike, do you have a question, Mike?
I have a question on the first one. The second
Yeah, I think we need a motion. We need a formal motion first.
I thought Mike was moving.
Okay.
So can I have a motion? Preeti, and a second? Robin, okay.
Mike? Mike, your question?
computer graphics sounds more technical than Photoshop.
Well, I think, as it was explained by Michael Fackelman, the course is Introduction to Photoshop, and it was previously misnamed Introduction to Computer Graphics, so it's been renamed to more accurately reflect the content of the course.
Are there any other questions or discussion? Okay, can we have a roll call?
Mr. Byrne?
Yes.
Mrs. Swerner?
Yes.
Mrs. Gray?
Yes?
Mrs. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Fry?
Yes.
Mrs. Bridgman?
Yes.
Mrs. Shaw?
Yes.
Mrs. Wooldridge?
Yes.
Mrs. McHugh?
Yes.
Madam President?
Okay, now we're up to advocacy.
Advocacy met on January 11th, and we just did quick introductions of the new committee and let the PTO presidents know that Linda is now the new president and Bev is the new vice president. And we confirmed PTO dates, and we also confirmed the district-wide curriculum forums, which are upcoming. January 21st is the Google Parent Academy at Liberty Corner at 9 a.m. January 27th is the World Language at Ridge at 7 p.m. And February 10th is Elementary G&T and Park presentation at Mount Prospect at 9 a.m. And all board members and all district parents are invited to attend those meetings. And then in the superintendent's update, we briefly went over, we talked about the park presentation that was given by Mr. Hall at the last Board of Ed meeting. And Mr. McCarrion shared that there's only one testing window this year, and that will be from April 4th to May 13th, and that we requested and were rewarded special permission to give the Ridge Park test earlier in the time frame, so that it was farther away from AP testing. And the principals are responsible for putting together the park schedules for their actual buildings and deliver it to the parents. We all expressed that we are all obviously frustrated by the length of time it took to get park results. Hopefully and theoretically, they'll be coming sooner next year, hopefully. Mr. Markarian briefly also went through, he took us to the link in Mr. Hall's park presentation for the park released items, and showed us how you can get all kinds of information in terms of questions and how they pertain to actual content areas and standards for each area, for different grade levels and different tests. And Mr. Markarian also we briefly talked about this transportation survey that went out to parents for those parents interested in waiving their seat for next year as a potential savings to the district. And obviously, we're not making any decisions yet because we don't have the information, but it's something out there. And we also talked about the emergency contact survey that all parents are supposed to be hopefully updating for each student, right? I think it's for each student. They have to go in and do it. And we did talk about, briefly, we talked about a new student information system that would make it a little easier to get that information, and that it would be great if they could all talk to each other smartly so that we could get information faster. And the last thing we did talk about afterward, the committee met to briefly discuss the the committee goal for this year, which is communication and social media. And we're hoping to start using one-way Facebook or Twitter for district communications, but perhaps in the spring of 2016. That was it. Are there any questions?
Okay, thank you, Karen. Okay, next we're up to liaison reports. So I have two. I wanted to first do a brief report on the January 5th Municipal Alliance meeting, and just going through some recent and upcoming events. So the Ridge Against Alcohol and Drugs group had a fundraiser at Panera Bread on November 12th, and they also had 2 meetings and a holiday party in December. And they felt that the fundraiser was successful, and they plan to do it again. Girls on Track for 2016 is starting on April 5th. It runs through June 16th. It's a 10-week program for girls in grades 6 through 8, and the focus is on a positive body image, setting goals, and abstaining from drugs and alcohol. The final event is a 5K run. The Municipal Alliance, in collaboration with Berners Township Police Department, is holding a prescription drug drop-off drive-through on March 19th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., and this is going to be at the Berners Township Police Department. And then they just said save the date for Charter Day, May 21st, and Twilight Challenge on June 5th. The other thing we did talk about was the Chris Herron event and how it was very successful, and that over 900 people attended, and the feedback was overwhelmingly positive. And then Tracy Baldessari, who teaches Too Good for Drugs, said that during her classes at William Annan, some students actually started talking about the Chris Herron presentation. So that was good. And then on January 13th, Robin and I met with several members of the Community and Crisis Group, Bill Cook, Katie Soulis, and Jody D'Agostini. And it was just mainly to try to facilitate communication between the two groups and exchange some information. So they told us of some work that they had done. They actually had their own prescription drug drop-off in October, and they also hosted the Chris Herron event here at the PAC. They've been working really hard on a grand rounds for physicians at Morristown Medical Center, and that's going to happen March 16th. And the focus of that would be education in opiate and opiate addiction. And they're also planning, they're developing a website, and they're also planning to have a fundraiser in April. Robin, did you have anything else to add from that meeting?
No, I think it was a good meeting. There's been a little bit of miscommunication between, us and them, and somehow, getting them all of the stuff, all the information to their entire group about what our district has done and what we were already teaching in our curriculum and things like that. So I think it was a really good meeting. It was productive. We got to give them a lot of information.
Okay, so now we're up to public comment on other than agenda items. So if anyone has public comments, come up to the front and sign your name.
I'm the parent coach for the National Science Bowl team for the high school, Ridge High School. And I had submitted the request sometime first week of October last year and waiting for approval from the school, from the principal to approve a parent coach. And yesterday I got a note from the National Science Bowl team that our Ridge High school team is disqualified, saying that they didn't get an approval from the principal. So I raised a question today. I spoke to the principal and Nick Markarian about it. So I just need to know if the board approves today, or we can still have a channel open and we can have a dialogue with the NSB so that the children who are preparing since October, I don't want them to lose a chance, which they have. So I'm bringing it to the forum here today.
Are there any other public comments? Okay, so now I'll close public comments.
So, just in response to our public comment, I did speak to Mr. Howlett today, and as the board approved on the personnel agenda item number 20, officially appointing our National Science Bowl coach on a volunteer basis, and worked with. Is she still here?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I can't see
It's
her.
hard to see.
I was on the phone with Amitha today. We worked on this, and I spoke to Mr. Howlett, and I think you spoke to Tiffany Quick today, and you emailed me back to get the background check underway, and the board will reimburse you for the cost of getting the background check done. And I told Mr. Howlett, as soon as the board approved you tonight, that tomorrow you should go online and take care of the registration. So we hopefully will have it squared away. I'll double check on it tomorrow. Okay, thank you.
Okay. So now we're up to board forum. Does anyone have any topics for board forum they'd like to discuss? Mike?
I noticed the record of suspensions. There were 2 marijuana situations and 1 alcohol. What happens when we identify these problems? Do the parents get involved? Do the students get questioned? Where do they get the marijuana? Where do they get the alcohol? Is there any effort done to identify where the problem's coming from, and maybe even counsel the kids other than just punishment?
I can tell you that counseling is definitely a component, to the extent of what specifically might have been done in either investigation could have been dependent on the circumstances of what the administration came across. I can't speak to any one of those in particular to say, were they questioned as to where they got or who they received from, or to that extent of detail, but I can tell you that it's not just a punishment that's levied. There's definitely a counseling component, and usually the SACs are involved in those situations.
Police?
Yes. Yeah, the police are involved too.
I just wanted to congratulate Rhonda, say welcome to the Board of Education, officially. Thank you.
I just wanted to say, as we said in the meeting even, is all the candidates are highly qualified, and it really was hard just to say yes to anyone. And I think, at least for me, it came down to more times being here at the board audience and volunteering in the district. Congratulations.
Yeah. I would agree.
Thanks,
Welcome
good to
to
be
the
here.
board.
Good to join you. Steep learning curve. I'm getting started.
And isn't it shocking? You're sitting down there, and the next thing you know, you have to sit here.
Yeah.
Quick transition.
I learned to stay on stage very fast in the beginning.
Yeah, until I can see the reports, because I missed the executive session.
Are there any other topics for board forum?
Actually, I think, Nick, can you provide at the next meeting about if they were selling the marijuana? That was my bigger concern, because that means there's users that were ready to purchase it. For this particular spreadsheet, I think you were going to get back to us anyway.
I'll talk to the administration and find out what I can get for
Yeah,
you
if
that's
that's
okay
even
to get for you.
I'm just
I'll find
concerned-
out what I can share.
I'm concerned that they were selling it.
Right, I don't want to start any rumors because we don't know if that's
Yeah.
true or not, but I'll find out what I can, and what I can share, I will share.
All right, thank you.
New Jersey is being deluged with a higher, more concentrated form of marijuana too, so that much more dangerous. So it's a negative problem.
Anything else for board forum? Okay, so we're up to adjournment. Can I have a motion? Bev and Karen.
So I definitely